Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today, I have an upload where I'm, yep, you guessed it, back in the Adirondacks. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frighting Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And last but not least, if you'd really like to help the channel to continue to grow and go, just simply subscribe and click the like button. It's fast and it's free. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? Alright, guys. I'm back. Back in the North Country. I got some stories that I want to share with you while we're up here. But I kind of want to pan around real quick and show you what this very interesting kind of outcropping where I think would be a very interesting place to, if I was a dog man, would want to set up. Hang on one second. Very beautiful outcropping up there. Just that rock ledge kind of going up. But yeah, this is coming down the trail. Now, right over here is where the other day when I was up here is where people said they saw something run. I don't know. I did see something in the video, but I'm not sure what it was. So, alright. So, beautiful day today. We had a lot of snow the other day. Not a lot, but we had some damage from this storm just recently. Wow, it is absolutely gorgeous up here. I don't know if you guys can see anything out there, but I mean, here, look at this. This is so you know I'm on a mountain. That's just the start of it, guys. Alright. Oh, Jesus. The storm kind of really messed up this trail. So, told you I'd come prepared this time with some stories. Stories from the Adirondacks. On a Sunday, Memorial Day weekend 2017, I believe it was May 28th, I was hiking alone on the Terrell Pond Trail near Blue Mountain Lake, Hamilton County in the Adirondack Park, New York State. It was about a mile and a half to 2 miles down the trail when I got to the edge of a clear out. The state had an easement for the trail through private land, and the owner had been conducting logging operations for a few weeks. One second you're hiking in forest, the next you're standing on the edge of a vast area that looks like it had been heavily bombed. As I stood there, taking a drink of water, look at that, look how beautiful that is. Taking a drink of water from my hydration pack, a large grayish Sasquatch broke cover from a clump of small trees, brush, debris on a small rise. It was at my 1 o'clock position. approximately 80 yards away. I saw it take 3 or 4 strides before it was back behind cover. I was in a stunned disbelief. I immediately tried to rationalize what I had seen. A few seconds later, it then broke cover again, this time at my 2 o'clock position, a little further up the slope. It took 5 to 6 strides before it was behind a mass of debris. Wow, this trail is bad now. This is the same trail I was on the other day. Wow, here. So here's where I'm standing. I don't know if you guys can get a good look at that. This is just the going up. I waited a few minutes to see if it would continue up the mountain, but there was no sign of it. I worked up the courage to walk down the trail and look around to the other side. I didn't see any movement or hear anything. Kept thinking that if it's walking through the debris, it's got to be making noise, right? There was just no way to take a step without landing on a branch and snapping it. I quickly decided the reason that I didn't hear or see it was because it was hiding and watching me. This thought made me uncomfortable, and I quickly returned to the edge of the clear cut. I contemplated on continuing the hike for about 10 seconds and decided, since I was alone and without protection, I would head back. I never felt threatened. Did you guys hear that? Hang on. I don't know if you guys heard that noise, but it was from over there. There's no birds. There's no sound whatsoever out here. What? There is no sound whatsoever. Wow. All right. I guess we'll keep walking. There's absolutely no sound here. Holy crap. I am armed though, guys. Just to let everyone know. Okay. Where was I before I was so rudely interrupted? I was about a mile or a quarter mile back down the trail when I heard a wood knock. It was about 5 or 6 knocks in quick succession that came from behind me at my 7 o'clock position. I told myself that it was a woodpecker, but part of me thought it was too slow in cadence to be one of them. I started checking behind me after that and stopped abruptly to see if I could hear anything moving. I continued on the trail another half a mile or so, and I heard a same knock sequence, but this time it was closer, and now at my 9 o'clock position. I just kept walking and telling myself it was a woodpecker, and it may very well have been. The rest of the hike out was uneventful. It was hard for me to judge its height. I'd say 6.5 to 7.5. Its width impressed me. It was easily 2.5 times my width, if not more than an average person. It was powerfully built, silver and gray in color, with the exception of a tannish brown color around parts of its face and on the side of its head where I presume, since I was too far away to see, the ears would be. It walked slightly hunched forward, its arms slung close to its knees. Its head was low on its broad shoulders. It moved very quickly while showing no effort in doing so. What I saw bore a striking resemblance to the creature in the Patterson-Gimlin film. I started hiking 6 years ago, and I've been to almost 90 hikes, mostly in the Adirondacks, a few times in the Catskills in Vermont. Hardly a day goes by that I don't think about that encounter. So, we've had numerous Sasquatch encounters in this area. And we've had, guys, look at this. Look how beautiful this is. This is the trail I'm standing on. There is something above me up in that ridge. I'm just going to go slow. Something's up there somewhere. I just heard some movement. I don't know. I'm going to keep it there for you guys for a little bit to look. So yeah, obviously we've had Sasquatch. We've had Dogman encounters. Missing cases, Tom Messick. That military school for creating super soldier children in Indian Lake, which I am going to be going to very soon. Like, look at this, guys. There's absolutely no noise whatsoever where I am. I am freaked out a little bit, to be honest with you. Alright. Here's another one. This encounter is about, I don't know, I'm guessing 10 minutes from where I am. No, 15 south, actually. I'm further north. One of my earliest memories is very, very weird. I've had a few humanoid encounters throughout my life, but this is one that never fails to unnerve me and confuse me, especially now that I once more living where it happened. I'd really like some input on this because of how it's affected me, my cousin, my mom, and my aunt. One day, well, my cousin and I were very young. My mom and my aunt sat us down outside with them so they could catch up. They were on a bench holding onto us both. We faced the woods. From where we were faced, the driveway, from our position, my cousin and I watched a pale creature emerge from the woods around this huge rock formation, aptly named the Big Rock by us. We often played on it, and then it seemed to realize that we were watching, and it slipped around to the other side very quickly. So now we have rakes up here, guys, or what people like to call rake. I hate that name, but crawlers. It was pale, thin, shaped like a person with arms and legs just like ours, and sort of crawled around instead of walking fully upright. It was also quite tall, but could have been the size of a full-grown person. Many things are tall when you are that little. I can't say for certain anything else about it because then I think I'd be fishing for details that I cannot totally confirm. Those things, though, are what has always reminded me of the memory and remained clear and consistent. If we had a good look at its face, that detail is lost. I know, according to my mom and my aunt, that we made a very big deal out of it after the whole thing happened. That my cousin and I became immediately unsettled, and that both adults may have seen something but refused to acknowledge it. I would like it if someone could help me figure this out. I'm 100% sure that we saw something that day. It was big enough deal that we assigned immediate importance to the Big Rock. We also named the creature Old Man Boney. For background, this happened in the Adirondacks of New York, near Lake George, sometime in the early 2000s. It was during the summer. The area is relatively quiet now, and is even quieter with few vacation homes on this road. It's a wooded area. I don't know. I got a bad feeling out here, so I'm actually I'm gonna post up here somewhere. So, like I was saying, we got Sasquatch, we got Dogman, we got missing people. This weird, funky military installation. Crawlers. We have everything that every other state has. But what we do have is that most states don't have is 600 million square acres of forest where people can get lost at any time. I'm going to switch the camera around and I'm going to put it up on that hill. I'm going to walk and narrate an encounter, but I'm going to then slowly tonight when I get home go through the footage. If I see anything or if you guys see anything, let me know. I used to go to a camp with my dad at a Senal campground from 2005 to 2007 in upstate New York, in the middle of the Adirondack forest, and about a 20-minute drive from the closest town. It's now an agricultural farm and closed for unknown reasons. Anyway, families would bring their campers here and just leave them yearly. We were one of those families that did this. Luckily, there were other teens there around this time. We really all hit it off. We ranged from 13 to 17 within those years. The story takes place in the summer of 2006. A few of my camping friends and I were bored at around 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. So we decided to hike in the woods that was behind the campsite. We'll call friends Jan, Bridget, Heather, and Esther. There were some well-traveled trails not far in, but we had already walked them many times. We decided to cut across the trails and go deeper into the woods. Eventually, we ended up uphill 30-foot wide clearing that had what appeared to be a car to the right in the distance. Esther immediately sprints to the car and exclaims that it's very old, rusted, and an abandoned car. The rest of us walk over to our enthusiastic friend. I remember feeling something was very off about this car and requested that we all get away from it. Esther laughs and jokingly says, "Why? Because it could be rigged with bombs?" Bridget hit him in the arm and tells him to shut up, get away from the car. Who knows what could be inside? Odd, I thought to myself, maybe she feels the same way I do. We started to walk past the car, upward toward what looked like a larger clearing. Helen grabbed my arm and walked beside me, seemingly terrified. Me being 15 at the time, I welcomed her clinging to me and really didn't notice her terror. We reached a large clearing. The ground was flat and directly in front of us there's a pond that is completely still. To the left of us there's a yellow 2-story house. Wow. I keep hearing things up there, guys. So I heard some noise up in that region and I decided to post up off the trail. You can see behind me. There's just a big ravine back behind me. We'll finish this here. What appeared to be an abandoned house. This clearing is completely surrounded by the rest of the woods. Upon seeing this, I remember feeling dread wash over me. Meanwhile, Astor and Jan are running toward the house. Bridget, Helen, and I are all calling out to them to come back, not go near the house. Instead, they noticed an open window, and they both climbed in. As soon as Bridget saw them do this, she yelled, "Fine, if you two want to go in there in that creepy house, be my guest." Her scream seemed to fall flat with no echo, almost like it was blocked. Couldn't make out the house. It was eerie. Bridget finally looked over at Helen and I, sounding defeated. She said, "Come on, let's go back to camp. This place is messed up." We concur and start heading back toward camp to a smaller clearing. When we heard what sounded like Jan scream, we looked back to see Astor and Jan are already out of the house and almost to us. They were both whiter than freshly bleached sheets, motioning for us to leave. The hike back to camp was pretty uneventful, but Astor and Jan refused to tell us what they saw. Astor was still trying to act silly and cool, but he kept glancing behind us. Jan didn't say a word the entire time. We got back to camp. It was 5:30. It really didn't feel like we were gone long. The whole thing was weird. We had already agreed to meet up later that night after we ate and showered, etc. Later that night, at around 10:30, what the hell was that? The same group of us met up to the registration building. Because the light was similar to a street light, we decided to head down to a field to the entrance of the campground beside the dirt road leading back to the road to camp. It was a new moon that night, and we could see the stars more clearly than ever before. It was the brightest I've ever personally seen them. We exchanged spooky stories in the dark field for quite some time. Hang on. For some reason, the five of us stood up at the same time and began to walk back to the dirt road. As we reached the light of the registration office, we all then simultaneously turned around. The light above us was flickering. We all saw this tall bipedal figure moving in the field we were in. It moved across the field, quickly and silently. Chills went up and down my spine, and I felt like the cold was trying to reach inside my brain. The figure was darker than darkness itself, and appeared to be taller than all of us. We were all frozen. The figure was gone, but unfortunately, cold still of the summer night. We all ran to our respective camps. Fast forward to the winter of 2009. I was telling my ex-girlfriend, let's call her Kitty, of the story above. She's the type of girl that says she's very sensitive to paranormal events and always intrigued about them as opposed to being afraid of them. Somehow she convinces me we need to go to the camp that I used to go to, but it's been closed. It's now an agricultural farm. I decided to drive her up there in my 2000 Buick Century. Mind you, this car was a beast and could make it through snow with ease due to the nice traction control system and the winter tires. We arrived at around 10:30. The dirt road is not plowed, to my no surprise. I wasn't worried, decided to drive anyway. The car's a champ. I was going through it just fine. I'm passing the registration building. Get that same feeling of dread. The car cuts out. The power is gone. Car refusing to start. I look over at my ex. She's starting to stare straight ahead. They're looking at us. What the? Try to start the car. It starts normally. My traction control is no longer working. The time has reset. The car's tires are spinning now. We're stuck. My headlights are on. I happen to look at the trees and see multiple figures my camp friends and I saw running between the trees. My blood went cold. I'm getting out of here. I turned the car off and started again. Traction control light is gone, but I'm able to move the car. I slam it in reverse down the dirt road, back to the main road that will head us back to town. Just switch the page real quick. Sorry. Give you a brief scan of the woods. Once again, there is no sound here except me. I slammed it into drive. The supercharger in this baby is one of the sweetest, most revealing sounds I'd ever heard. I drive back to the forest on the same side of the road as the camp, pretty much 10 to 20 mile trip. Max is staring out of the window. Out of nowhere, she mutters something quietly. I tell her I can't hear you. They're following us. They want us. They're the most evil thing I've ever felt. I tell her it's going to be okay. We'll be home safe soon. I tell her to stop looking out the window. It's currently 9:49, and we end up stopping at a gas station to grab some water and some snacks. The guy looks at me and says, "You are out early?" I nodded and paid for my things. And me and my ex have never spoke of that again. So, yeah. I don't know. Growing up, we had like Boy Scout camp, the Harry H. Man. That story was crazy. I'll share it with you. So, let me make sure my mic light is on real quick. Okay. So, we're at Boy Scout camp, and we're all around the fire, and I'll never forget it. And my counselor says, "Have you guys ever heard of the Harry H. Man?" And we're all, "No, what's that?" Yada yada. Well, apparently there was this rich guy that built a house out there in the woods, less dense than us, of course, and he has bars on the window because back then there was crime or whatever they said. This is just how the story goes. So the house, I guess, is on fire. His wife and children are in the what is that? There is nothing down there. There's water. I can hear water running, but there's nothing else down that way. Anyway, so his wife and kids are in the house, and this house is burning. And he runs up, and the door is locked for some reason. Everything's messed up. And he grabs the bars, and he's pulling his body, like trying to rip these bars off the window. And the H gets burned onto his chest. But his family dies, and I guess he goes running into the woods and becomes the Harry H. Man. And he stalks campers in the Adirondacks. It's just a Boy Scout story, but it's one of the stories that I've never forgotten since I was a little kid. It's always been there. So that is the story that terrified me and my friends. I guess I'm done for the day here, and I'm heading out. I'll talk to you when I get home. Alright guys, so that is the video from yesterday, Friday the 22nd, 2022, when I went up north in the Adirondacks to hike around a little bit. I'm going out there because it's been a long time since I've hiked. It's been a long time since physically I was able to. For those of you new to the channel, I'm on medication because I have a manageable terminal illness. I've had surgery on my feet for neuropathy. I have a lot of issues, and I'm just trying to really overcome them and push the channel to go places I never thought possible. I really would love to just go out in the woods, hike, and just come up with some amazing footage. Maybe capture a Dogman, capture a Sasquatch. Not to showboat it, but to have as proof. To prove that we have this. To go to New York State like Claudia Ackley did, who sued California. Not for money or clout, but to have California say, yes, they exist. That's all I want. I just want acknowledgement of their existence. And I think that's the most important thing, is the second we get acknowledgement that they exist, then we can move forth. So I hope you guys liked the video. There was a lot of weird crap going on up there. And if you guys, I tried to pan around slowly like you guys asked in the last video. I really felt like something was out there. And I'm not just saying that because, I want there to be. But at one point, I had turned the camera off and restarted, restarted the camera at a different location, because above me on a ridge, there was something there. I felt it. I couldn't see it. I could hear it. And I felt it. I was mainly looking down, reading some encounters to you guys. But something was there. I don't know. I don't know if it was Dogman, Bigfoot, crawler, bear, but something was out there, and I just got that feeling. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing the Adirondacks with you guys. With that, may the Great Spirit watch over us all, and may He guide us down that path that we call life.